so we've run into a few bonnet clearance issues, as you've seen. The spacer plate for the lid doesn't particularly help, but it would still be hitting even if it didn't have the spacer plate. So we need to come up with a solution for that. We're just brainstorming some ideas now about what we can do. So just for test purposes, we pulled out the spacer plate from the lid. We mic'd it up. It is actually 12mm. And that 12mm with the lid just directly back on the supercharger is enough for us to get bonnet clearance. It's marginal, it's very close. I reckon we both believe that once you're in the car and you're launching and you're getting that torsion in the motor on the mounts, it's probably going to be enough for it to rub. But at least with the VE bonnet, you've got the big crumple zone thing, you've got the inner skin, so it's not going to be running on the it shouldn't be rubbing on the outer skin. We don't reckon it'll cause any damage or anything, but that is enough. That 12mm spacer is enough for it to not have bonnet clearance. And yeah, so we'll have to put it to the customer, to Charlie, and so might be a matter of just buying new bolts and ditching the spacer plate to get it to happen. There are other options. You could space the cross member, you could do a lot of things. You can cut the bonnet, you can cut the bottom skin out of the bonnet, but they're all illegal. So the only way to do it legally is going to be to do it this way. So alright guys, so a bit of a development on this VE. We've been talking to the owner. We want to try and keep the lid spacer in if we can. We've had a good look at these actual engine mounts, as in the cast ones, not the rubber ones. And you can see, maybe, if I can get the camera up in here, probably can't. But the base on these feet is quite thick. We could actually, if we can find someone to mill these down, we can probably lose quite a bit of height just off the feet of the mounts there. There's quite a bit of meat on them. So if we could machine maybe 6mm off the bottom of the mount, that's going to get us 6mm lower, which is enough. You know, we've got enough room between the sump and the rack to get that sort of distance, and that's going to help us out quite a bit. And we had a look. The bonnet hinges where they bolt to the actual car underneath the cowl, or the garnish, whatever you want to call it, and just behind the bonnet there. We might be able to space them up a little bit as well. So between maybe getting like 6mm out of those mounts and then maybe spacing the bonnet up, you know, 3-4mm, we might get ourselves just enough space to fit this thing with the spacer, and that is a legal way to do it, where, you know, if we want to start dropping cross members or other things like that, you start running into some pretty illegal stuff. That's pretty illegal modifications, just like cutting the bonnet. So that's what we're going to go with at the moment. We're going to pull these mounts out, try and get someone to just machine the bottoms of them, and try and get rid of a little bit of height there, and just keep revisiting and seeing what we need to do. So hopefully this works out. Worst case scenario, with that 6mm off the bottom of them mounts and without the spacer, the lid spacer, it'll fit fine. That'll be really good. So that's what will be the worst case. It's legal, it's pretty neat, everything's there. But seeing as we've already bought the lid spacer, the customer would like to run it if we can, so we're going to do everything we can to try and make sure we can fit it in. Alright, we'll get this motor jacked up on our little motor jack thingy mabob, majig, my thing. Get out these mounts. What do you reckon, Rex? Very enthused. This thing's like mad handy. We actually use this when we do cam packages in the car where we have to do the timing chain. Well, not the timing chain, but if we want to replace the bottom timing gear or do the oil pump. Particularly with people who do double row timing chains, and you have to actually modify the oil pump pickup to suit the double row because it changes the offset. So if you use this, you can drop the K-frame and get the sump out and still do everything in the car, which is mad handy. So, just take a little bit off that, give us a little bit of height, that'll be nice. Alright, so next thing we're going to go on with is starting to actually mount up all of our coolers and stuff on the front end of this thing. So we've got to get this front clip off and have a look at where we can mount all this stuff. We've got to get his trans cooler, as well as the cooler for the blower, mounted up here in the front. Righto guys, so a fair bit to nut out. Same thing, we're going to have to relocate the washer bottle. Things like the water pump that came with the kit didn't come with the plug that we need to wire it in. This kit, the customer picked up for a good price, but it is missing so much stuff, and this is where you sort of end up paying for it when you do something like this, is that now he has to pay us to try and figure a lot of this stuff out and make it all work. It's still going to work out a lot cheaper than the Magnuson we were going to do, but it is just a pain. So there's plenty for us to figure out. We've got most of it sorted. We just need to now order a lot of the things that we now know we don't have, and wait for them to get here and continue on going with what we can do.